What's up, guys? Stas here. So the stock market had yet again another crazy day today with the S&P 500 up about 50 points, 1.7% in the green. Dow Jones up 370 points, 1.5% in the green, with the NASDAQ up about 190 points, up over 2% on the day. And in this video, we're going to break down the markets a bit more, taking a look at some technicals. And I also want to share what individual stocks and ETFs I'm watching right now. What am I looking to trade, as well as what I've been doing in the markets, day trading, swing trading, options trading, as well as what I plan on doing here in the future in the stock market. So if you guys enjoy the video, as always, hit that like button for me. Consider subscribing to the channel. Join our free Discord chat, Facebook group, link down below in the description box, and let's get right into it. So the S&P 500 closed at 2970 today, meaning it closed above a very critical level of old resistance as a new support. Very, very bullish day in the S&P 500 today, and the level it closed above is 2950. And if you guys have been following my channel for a couple weeks now, a couple days, whatever, we've been preaching about 2950. This is a level of resistance on the S&P from the end of April towards the middle of May. And if we zoom out a bit to this yearly chart, you guys can see back in let's see here, a couple months ago, back in 2019, we actually held 2950 as a support, right? And once we broke that level of support, it became a resistance, right? Once we broke that level in March, when we had that massive sell-off, 2950 became a resistance. So the fact that we broke above it, we closed above it, is extremely bullish, and it tells me, right, when I'm doing my technical analysis now, that the S&P is straight shooting up to $3,000. And why? Why is that? Well, if we go to the 4-hour chart, you guys can see now that we broke 2950, held above it, the next gap to fill is up to that $3,000 to $3,010 area, which means at this point, guys, upside wise, the S&P has about 1.5% to 2% upside up to that level. And let's say we break that level, right? Notice how 3,000 is also a resistance, pretty strong one at that. We could be filling up even further on the S&P, maybe to about 3,100. Especially, guys, if we get good news about stimulus, right? Stimulus packages, the vaccine, right? If we get this good news, and especially if the economy reopening goes smoothly as it's opening across the country now in phases, I believe the market will go up above 3,000 and heck, maybe even to 3,100. Will it go up to all-time highs? I'm not going that far at this point. It's a bit too early to say with Q2 earnings coming in about a month and a half, 2 months. That could very well fluctuate the stock market in the short term. It's obviously an election year as well. So for it to go to all-time highs, I'm not making that prediction quite yet. I'm just breaking down the trend and kind of following it and watching resistances as they break. And of course, that's what I'm reporting here on the channel. So if it breaks 3,000, hey, maybe we do go to 3,100. And from there, maybe we go to 3,200, which would be the next gap fill. But again, let's not get ahead of ourselves until the markets do show further upside confirmation, right? And when it comes down to the Dow, it wasn't as bullish as the S&P because we're still, or rather it's not as bullish as the S&P because we're still trending under 24,700. We've talked about this level on the Dow Jones for quite a bit of time now. And it's a resistance from back towards the end of April. Notice how under this 180 SMA on the 4-hour chart, we struggled at about 24,700, right? And going to this 90-day chart, you'll see it even better. We kind of made a head and shoulder pattern here, struggled at 24,300, popped the 24,700, which was the head. We failed breaking out, and then we made the right shoulder, and now we're, starting to break out again. So it seems like the Dow is trying to make a higher low right here at 23,300, but the higher high, it hasn't been made yet, meaning the uptrend, it's really not intact quite yet. So I'm thinking if we break out of 24,800, 700, that's where a lot of bullish momentum is going to come to the Dow Jones, into the Dow Jones, and we may see a ride up to, let's say, $25,800, $26,000 even. That is the next gap that I think the Dow Jones here could fill. So for tomorrow, guys, very simple. Just keep an eye on 24,700. It's very, very obvious. It's clear at this point that over the past 3 days of trading, the Dow has been struggling there. It's quite obvious if you're looking at this chart, right? And when it comes down to the NASDAQ, guys, this one, just like the S&P, full-fledged uptrend, right? We broke resistance levels. Today, we made a new high in the trend. Not a new all-time high, but judging on this 20-day chart, we made a high today at about $9,500. We broke out of the high yesterday, $9,400. So at this point, am I going long on the NASDAQ via maybe an inverse ETF like TQQQ, which goes up with the NASDAQ? No, right? I'm not looking to force it at this point. Truth is, if anything, I might look to get into SQQQ, which goes up whenever the NASDAQ is selling off, right? In case the NASDAQ does end up pulling back down and retesting, let's say, 9,300, 9,400, that could be possible, right? If we do end up seeing a little pull down of like 1%, 2%, we might be able to ride SQQQ in the short term as a day trade. That's kind of what I'm thinking here. But either way, I'm not looking to force anything at this point. That's kind of been my motto here in the markets in general as they've been bouncing up over the past couple of weeks. I'm not making crazy investments. You guys can check out my M1 Finance portfolio update, the most recent one, linked down below in the description. A lot of my buying long-term wise is coming in that account as well as my Roth IRA, and that's kind of just blue chip dividend buying where I'm just looking to have a long-term dividend portfolio, right? I haven't been making massive lump sum investments in undervalued stocks that I think can grow over the next couple of years. I've really just been focusing on, although the money I am putting in M1 and my Roth, I do believe in those companies long-term, but they're not risky investments. They're mostly just blue chip, stable, cost average into them over time type of investments. And that's kind of what I've been sticking with now. And as well as buying gold stocks, I believe in those, as well as just stacking up a lot of cash. As the markets have been pushing up, I've been stacking more and more and more cash because I do believe at some point we're going to see another correction here, whether it's Q2 earnings, whether it's towards the election. I think we are going to see more rockiness, more volatility, and quite honestly, more opportunities in the near-term future. So let me know down below in the comments, guys, what are your thoughts on the markets? I'd love to know. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Is it going to be smooth sailing to all-time highs? Or do you think we're going to be rocky? I'm not thinking that, or rather, I'm not necessarily saying we're going all the way to the lows again, but I'm thinking that on the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, we might be going up and down in a horizontal pattern, very volatile, right? Let's say S&P down to 2,500, back up to 28, down to 24, maybe not that drastically, but you guys understand what I'm saying, right? And when it comes down to the Russell, almost forgot, Russell 2000 today, up 40 points, up 3%. So strong day out there for the small cap index here, the Russell 2000. Very, very strong day. So let me know down below in the comments, guys, your thoughts on the markets. Again, I'd love to know. Now, let's talk about what I personally did. What am I involved with as of right now? So I actually sold out of EA today. EA is a stock that I bought yesterday, believe it or not. A little bit above $118, if I remember correctly. It was right around here, like $118.30. I can't remember exactly the entry point. But with today's price action, we got exactly what I wanted to see in the stock, right? And I talked about this yesterday. EA, Electronic Arts, the video game stock, has been at a $120 level of resistance, right? Notice how over the past month or so, I'd say, we've gotten rejected there many times. And I've said, watch out for that break above 120. There could be a lot of potential there, right? up to the mid 120s, even 130s. And today we got that break. And since I got in very early, or not very early, but since the move was made very quickly in terms of my trade, I actually just ended up locking in the profits. I'm not really stressing about, the fact that I left money on the table. I could have left money on the table because the truth is I locked in a quick profit and I'm looking to re-enter into this stock. If tomorrow we show some more confirmation that we're going to hold 120, 121 and start to rally back up towards the 130 level, which is ultimately where I think the stock could end up going here in the short term based on this 3-year chart that I'm seeing right here. Notice how we could end up seeing that move as we did in the past when we did see a lot of momentum back in 2017. So for me, guys, 118.30 roughly is where I ended up getting in from my memory, and I actually locked in profits, almost forgot to tell you guys, at about $121 today. So from 118 to about 121, that was a nice little 2% overnight trade roughly on electronic arts. And again, I'm looking to re-enter this. And another stock I'm still holding, guys, doing pretty poorly on this one, to be honest, is Virgin Galactic. I got in around 17.80 with an initial swing position, and the truth is, yes, I am still holding the stock. The goal was at first, and the goal still is this, to hold this as a longer-term swing trade, right? Nothing like a week or two. I'm looking to hold this for a couple of weeks to a couple of months at this point, and I'm looking to average into it. And at this point, again, I'm not in it with a lot of money, right? When I scale into positions, or rather when I swing trade stocks, I scale into my positions 5-10% sometimes of the goal position size, 10-15% depending on what the stock is. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. And the goal of that is to mitigate against downside risk, right? So I am down quite a bit, but I do have some buying power to play with if I do end up wanting to bring that cost down. Over the next couple of weeks, we'll end up seeing what's happening there. And ultimately, there is a lot of pressure on Virgin Galactic at this point because Richard Branson's actually selling out of this stock via his other companies to help his other companies, because his airline company, quite frankly, is doing very poorly. So he's taking capital out of Virgin Galactic to help out Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Airways, and those struggling, failing businesses that, quite frankly, need the capital more. I'd argue they need the capital more than Virgin Galactic. So I think this is a short-term little weakness. Ultimately, I think it's going to bounce back up at some point, and that is why I am holding on to the shares. So let me know down below in the comments, guys, what are you doing in the markets? Do you think I'm an idiot for holding Virgin? I'd love to know. And don't feel bad calling me out, or going against my opinion. I'd actually love to hear what you guys think on the other side of the 8 ball, right? So let's just get into what stocks now I'm watching. There's a bunch here on the list. Let's try to go fast because I don't want to make this video too long. But the first one is ACB, and ACB had a terrible day today, down 12%, and you may be asking yourself, Stas, why do you want to watch ACB? It's down 12%, down $2, but take a look at what happened after hours today. And the truth is, I don't even know what happened. I was on Yahoo Finance and on the app, and I was just scrolling through the phone like I do after hours sometimes, and I saw Aurora. I was about to say the word. I don't know if I'll get demonetized. Who cares at this point? But I was looking at it and I was like, oh my goodness, it's up 25-30% after hours. Now it's up even more. Wow, it's up to $17 now. 30% after hours. So this, there's something going on here. Let's take a look. Okay, you guys can see there's a deal, okay, up to $45 million. What is that? Transaction. Okay, so something is going on right now. Okay, Aurora to strategically enter the United States with acquisition of Relieva. Ooh, okay, CBD. Okay, we'll have to look a bit into this in another time, but ultimately, it's pushing up the stock. This is a Canadian company. If you guys didn't know, they sell in Canada, a little bit in Europe. I believe it's Germany? Germany, Germany, I believe, is where they do have a couple, factories or plants, whatever you want to call it. And we see the stock moving up like crazy. So for tomorrow, this is definitely one to keep on the movers watch list, right? Because it's clearly moving now, and my guess is it will continue moving tomorrow. So watch for $17 here. This is where it's looking to test right now. Old support from about yesterday, 2 days ago. So if we break that, we might in the short term see a move back up to $19. Hey, maybe $18-19. So keep an eye here on ticker symbol ACB. Another one that did fantastic today. Fantastically, is that a word? Fantastically? We'll make it a word, is Facebook. Up about 6% today, up $13.09. And I don't like tooting my own horn here, guys, but we called it. We called the break at $215. And would you take a look at that? We said if it breaks 215, this thing could be shooting full head of steam up to $230, $220, $225. And although I didn't catch the move was made. And at this point, am I looking to chase it? No, but I'd love to see if Facebook is able to pull down and maybe retest 225, maybe, or maybe even $220, right? If it does end up doing that, I think either two of those could be fantastic entry points in the short term for a swing trade. And would you take a look at LK, guys? Good old Luckin Coffee. I know you probably forgot about this one, but they just opened back up for trading today. And would you take a look at their stock? Down 35%, down $1.60 today. And if you guys don't know what this is, what this stock is, it's Luckin Coffee. It's a Chinese coffee chain. And they had an accounting fraud a couple of weeks ago. What was it, like a month and a half ago? The stock has literally been closed for trading for about a month. They botched numbers, revenue numbers, I believe, and they didn't botch it by a little bit, a couple percentage points. It was a complete fraud, right? Complete fraud. I mean, the stock was $50. I mean, it went down to $25. It tanked all the way down to $4 or $5, and now it's down to pretty much penny stock status. So am I looking to buy this for the long term? Absolutely not, but I think it's worth watching as there's a lot of volatility. And if you're on the short side of the market, if you short stocks, I really don't short stocks the traditional way. I do put options, but if you're in that camp, and you think this will continue going down, it could be a good short opportunity. Or if you think there's upside, Luckin can maybe turn around and, fix management and get rid of all the crumminess there. It could go back up. It could also be for you. So at this point, it's just worth watching. I'm not really pulling the trigger at this point, but I'm keeping my eyes on it. And another one that did well today was NAT, ticker symbol NAT, up 21 cents, up about 5% on the day. And I'm liking how we're holding, we're trying at least to hold back above 480, $5. We're trying to push back above there. I think ultimately, or rather momentarily today, we did. We actually did break 480, 490, and we did close up pretty strong. We closed above yesterday's closing price, so that's a decent sign here for NAT, but ultimately I'm not touching it until we break out, I'd say above $5, $5.40, $5.50, but that's just me, right? And remember, they're reporting, or rather they're paying a dividend here maybe tomorrow or the next day, actually on Friday, the 22nd of this week. So if you actually own shares, you're going to be getting a pretty chunky dividend, as their yield right now is about 10%. And speaking about oil, crude oil, I believe the June contract is expiring one of these days. I don't really remember what day it is. And you guys remember when the May contract expired last month, it went negative. Maybe it already expired. Maybe I'm just behind the game here. But either way, it's worth watching crude oil and worth watching those the June contract if it didn't already expire. If it already did expire, I'm looking like an idiot right now, but I don't think it expired. Let's see here. Is this the June contract right here? It might be. Either way, guys, watch out for the June contract. See what ends up happening there. If it somehow goes down, goes negative, it could be a crazy, day for oil stocks, tanker stocks, and obviously leveraged ETFs that trade based upon oil. Let me know down below in the comments, guys. Am I messing this up? Did it already expire? I don't think it did, at least. Let me know down below. And I'm actually looking to get into gold stocks tomorrow. GDX is pulling down today. Had a 60-cent red day, down about 1.61%. And this is the exact price action I want. I want it to come down to $35. If we're able to get down to $35, I was actually looking at $40 call options on for that expire, I believe, in September. I was looking at those. Open interest on one of them is ridiculous on the $40 calls that expire in September. Open interest is crazy on that contract. Volumes kicking in on that one. I'm looking to get in on some calls here because ultimately I'm bullish gold and gold stocks, and I'm looking to buy shares at $35 as I do see swing trade potential up back to the 38s and ultimately up into the $40 level. So I'm looking at GDX, I'm looking at GLD, which is an ETF that tracks the price of gold. It's not necessarily a gold stocks ETF, but just the price of gold is what it tracks. So I'm looking at gold, GLD, GC, gold futures were pretty flat today. They're down about 70 cents right now, down about 0.04%. Walmart, actually, if you guys saw yesterday, they reported earnings today. They tried filling the gap back up, ultimately failed. They're up about 50 cents right now, but they're holding. I like the fact that they're holding this general 125 level of support. So for tomorrow, guys, keep an eye on this, right? If we're able to, maybe rally up to the higher 120s, 127, 128. There could be some potential here with Walmart, ticker symbol WMT. And another one is going to be BYND, Beyond Meat, up 3% today, up $4.30. Pretty strong day here. The fact that we actually pulled down, we tested 137 today, which was a resistance. We held it as a support, rallied back up and closed above it. That's a very good sign for the bulls. And ultimately, guys, you can see we actually failed at 145 this morning, which is a resistance. So that's telling me that we're in a wedge, or not a wedge, we're in a horizontal pattern right now between 138 and 145. So we need to pick direction. I think, honestly, this is going higher if I were to put my money on it, right? If I were to, take a position, I would go long. I'm not shorting BYND. And I honestly think if we test 138 again, even if we hold 140, this could be a good entry point up to 145 and above. So I'm watching Beyond Meat for sure. And another one here is going to be good old ZM, Zoom. We haven't talked about Zoom in a while, and it actually broke a pretty key spot a couple days ago, 165. We rallied up to 175, and we pulled back down, and we actually retested 165 as a support, held it, and we rallied back up. Today, up 1%, up almost $2 on the day. This is very good for Zoom, and they're actually reporting earnings in the beginning of June, so watch out for that, as that could, at the end of the day, guys, it could really fluctuate the stock up or down, and in my opinion, the earnings they have to be good. The earnings have to be good at the end of the day, guys. People are using Zoom at record numbers. So we'll see what ends up happening there. If the earnings are good, it doesn't necessarily mean the stock's going to go up. It doesn't always work like that. But there's a good chance it will, guys. So watch out for Zoom, 165, 70, 180. These levels are pretty critical. And to end off the video, good old Tesla stock. Tesla stock has been in a pickle recently, with Elon Musk, California, the headquarters, everything going on, and quite honestly, Tesla's been quiet. It's been trading between 800, 820, which is really not a big range at all for Tesla. That's about a range of 3%. So I'm thinking if we're able to fully break 820, 825 and hold above it, that's going to be bullish, right? And we're slowly doing that at the end of the day. We're squeezing up, making higher lows, but again, we're seeing a resistance at 820. This is kind of similar to the EA pattern, right? Going back to EA, we were squeezing up, higher lows, but we were being squeezed into this wedge due to the 120 resistance. Same exact thing with Tesla, right? Higher lows, but we're being squeezed at 820 because of the resistance. And if we pop out and squeeze above 820, this could easily, in my opinion, rally up to 890, 900, which could be a move of about, 6-7%. That could easily happen, guys. That's just the kind of stock Tesla is at the end of the day. So that's pretty much it for today's video, everybody. If you enjoyed it, as always, I would really appreciate it if you hit that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel if you do want to see daily market updates like this. And feel free, if you guys want some free money, to claim 2 free stocks down below, valued up to $1,400 on Webull with a deposit of $100 into the account. That's linked down below in the description box. And feel free to also check out a video I uploaded earlier on Ray Dalio, Warren Buffett, Berkshire, and Bridgewater, going over their 13F filings, seeing what stocks they own now, kind of what changes they made from the previous 13F filing. That's down below in the description, as well as the 2 free stocks valued up to $1,400. So I'll catch you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. As always, stay safe out there, guys. Peace out.